Now on the programme is Bruce Dickinson. You just saw his solo video called Tears of the Dragon. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Nice to see you again, as always. Okay, how long ago was it since you left Iron Maiden?
It was probably getting on for approaching 6 years now.
How many solo albums have you put out now that you've got the new one called The Chemical Wedding?
This is actually number 6, 5 in the studio, 1 live, and since leaving the band, 5 albums.
Okay, how come you're more productive than they are?
I think it's just one of those situations when you have a band and it achieves a certain sort of longevity. It just takes longer. I mean, for one thing, I used to say that every time I did an Iron Maiden album, it was like 18 months gone, right? Because by the time you toured it and everything else, you didn't have chance to make another record. I mean, I don't tour as long as they do, mainly because I can't, because I don't sell enough tickets,
right.
in the same way.
At this time?
Yeah, sure, but, being realistic about it. So I tend to go back in and just make records, which actually is, in many ways, the most rewarding part of it for me. The creative bit is the bit that keeps me fired up. The live thing is enormously, it's great fun, and I do love doing it, but I don't derive pleasure just from getting on the treadmill and saying, my life is the road and I can't imagine anything else. I can imagine a lot of other things, including making a new record, and things. So that's have a slightly different perspective to some people, maybe.
But what you're really doing is building up one hell of a catalogue, aren't you? I mean, this is your 6th album. That's an enormous catalogue of new material in 6 years.
Yeah, what's interesting for me is that every album has also been different. So every album has explored a different aspect. I mean, it's all rock music. It's not like I'm suddenly making jazz albums and things. But every album's had some facet that's slightly different. Although the last couple, Accident of Birth and Chemical Wedding, have certainly been sort of more closely related, I think. There's been a sort of a follow-on from one to the other, which probably is a good thing. I think that, certainly my manager's very happy about that. I think it's sort of pretty much, I feel it's like I'm sort of duty-bound to try and make interesting records each time, because otherwise, what's the point of making records?
Absolutely, you might as well stay at home and just enjoy what you've already created. But can I put this to you? And I hate comparisons, but inevitably they will be drawn, if not by me, by somebody else. And indeed have been drawn by people in the press, the rock press in the United Kingdom. This album, The Chemical Wedding, is the album, really, that Iron Maiden should have made.
Well, all right. That's the area at which I bring down the big curtain and say, for all kinds of reasons, out of respect to my former band colleagues, who I'm still friendly with, out of respect to all the fans who we share, obviously, a lot. A lot of people buy Maiden records and buy my records. It's not worth me commenting on that. If I take it the right way, what I hear in that is I hear people saying, "You've made a great record," and I say, "Thank you very much." Because I've made a great record, you don't have to rag on somebody else's record. It's enough that you just like my record.
Loyalty,
all right,
tact, honesty, and above all, loyalty to your former mates as well. So, whom are your mates?
It's the 13 years, and we did go through some fairly harrowing moments together, and that counts for a lot.
Yeah, but you also went through some amazing concerts together.
And that counts for a lot.
Phenomenal audiences.
And that counts for a lot too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's play a track. This is the video, which is the first single, which is Killing Floor, right?
Yeah, although it's not a single. We're not releasing any singles off this record. No singles off this album. This ain't a singles album. This is an album. So I figure, why waste, time, money, and energy? Why waste the audience's money, above all, on a pipe dream, which basically is an ego trip for record companies? What do people want? They want the album. Give them the album. Okay, not only will we give them Mr. Bruce Dickinson in a multitude of parts, surrounded by food, and doing the job he always wanted to do, the job of the waiter, the chef, and everything else. Good little video. What's the story behind it, though? In fact, why a story? Because I like stories. It's why I got into music. I got into music because I wanted to tell stories, and I sort of, to a greater or lesser extent, have failed, succeeded, and been still trying. I've always seen video as being an extension to that. I do happen to like mucking around with videos, and of course, in the world of shrinking budgets, you know, you never get the chance. But on this occasion, this actually goes back to the album title, The Chemical Wedding. The guy that directed this video was a friend of mine called Julian Doyle, who was a sort of he's a filmmaker. He was the film editor of Brazil and Time Bandits, Python and the Holy Grail, Life of Brian. He was basically the mentor of the Pythons in terms of the film world, of Terry Gilliam. And we were actually doing a movie script together, which we sold to America, called The Chemical Wedding, about the Old English black magician, Aleister Crowley. The movie never got made. The title track to the movie got used on the last album, Accident of Birth, and the title of the movie was sitting around, and I thought, this is such a great title, I'm going to use it as the title of the album. So lo and behold, when the time came to do the video, I called up Julian and said, OK, we're going to do these 2 videos. We don't have a great budget. Can we do some guerrilla movie making here?
Actually, you and I did have a chat in the dressing room before we came on camera and all that stuff, right? And you gave a really good resume of what's occurred to you over the last 6 years with regard to album sales, what territories you've scored in, and how, indeed, it's building for you internationally.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, this is also an international show. It's going out in Israel, South Africa, and Bosnia, and all over the place. Right. So I think people overseas, as well as the people in the United Kingdom, would be interested in knowing that other territories ain't like the territory that we're sitting in at all when it comes to rock and metal.
Well, England it's quite strange how, with the exception of the Spice Girls and 1 or 2 sort of big ticket pop sort of items that occasionally sort of surface over here, the rest of our like rock sort of legacy, if you like, has just been reduced to rubble. I mean, we're left with Deep Purple and Page Plant, both acts which, you know, have obviously, you know, been going for a fair number of years. I mean, fantastic, but, you know, there should be some new stuff wandering around, and there isn't, because it's not encouraged by the press, you know, and it's positively sneered at. Oh, that old trad metal stuff, you know. Well, that old trad metal stuff is selling 150,000 albums in Germany at the moment, and throughout Brazil and in America, it's really, really coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. There is a metal revival, but it is happening faster elsewhere than it is happening here in the United Kingdom.
Absolutely, because you know, there's a kind of a really sneery, snidey attitude to things over here. They're very mealy-mouthed in their praise sometimes about things.
They really can be. OK, on the Friday Rock Show this week, we got 6 signed copies of Bruce Dickinson's new album, which is called The Chemical Wedding. It looks like this. Also, we're going to throw in some posters as well. Everything will be signed. All you have to do is to answer this extremely easy question, which is now going to be delivered to camera 2 by Bruce Dickinson.
Yes. Hello, camera 2. That one. That one with the 2 on it. I thought I was looking at the one with the red light flashing. Sorry. Yes, Mr. Dalek over there. Right. Julian Doyle, the director of Killing Floor, worked with me on one previous occasion in a former incarnation, which I shall only hint at by saying it was not a million miles away from the band Ron Maiden and the Dixie Chickens, which we used to laughingly refer to ourselves as in those days. So, he worked with me before on a video. I just want to know which video it was.
OK, and send your answer to this address in front of you right now, which is Friday Rock Show, 17 to 29 Hawley Crescent, London NW18TT. Or you can get to me via the email as well, tommy@segway.demon.co.uk. 6 copies of this album with 6 signed posters on the rack, possibly to you ASAP. Get the answer in fast to that question, as delivered by Mr. Bruce Dickinson. Let's have another track from the record. I haven't seen this video.
Yeah, this one is this was done in the film we had left over from Killing Floor, but it's actually in some ways is the main event in a lot of the countries in terms of like radio and stuff like that. And in Brazil, where they play rock music in the daytime on the national radio station, way hey, you know, it's the most requested track at the moment. So I'm pretty chuffed with